You see, much of the Old Testament is founded upon wisdom, Sophia, the wisdom books, right up to Ecclesiastes, which is very clearly not wisdom at all. I mean, there's some horrendous mistakes in Ecclesiastes. To everything there's a season. Yeah, it doesn't make it good, does it? I mean, goodness. You know, Solomon's view that it's best just to live each day for the living. Well, I mean, you couldn't be more secular. And there's an acute absence of God in Ecclesiastes. You come to Proverbs, yes, it is a book of wisdom, but it's the wisdom of man. It's his understanding of God's wisdom. Well, of course, that's very imperfect. Every prophecy is blatantly imperfect in that it's incomplete. It doesn't tie down what the future is at all. It simply puts it in vivid allegorical form. And in hindsight, you can say, oh, yes, I see what the prophecy is about now. But do you see, everything of man, because man is a child of God, and in the universe of uncertainty, is laced with uncertainty. What triumphs over this? Faith and trust. Why trust? Because you love. Why do you love? Because you've experienced a relationship with God through all the bounty and the goodness and the experience of life that he's given to date. As you become aware of this, you want to love God. So then you can receive the commandment to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, increasingly. But it's because of the love, not because of the wisdom inherent in the book. It's because of the love you feel, despite the inadequacies of the advice, of the wisdom, and the faults in it, in its compilation, in its presentation, in its meaning to you, given your experience. It's all laced with imperfection. It is not the perfect Word of God, by any means. In fact, the perfect Word of God is not in thought as of the mind, but of feeling as of the heart. You just find you want to love God. It is that love of God that is God. He's chosen us, you see. We haven't chosen him. He's chosen us. We find he is present. We have a love for him, a desire for him, which is a love for him. That desire can grow wonderfully. It doesn't grow through wisdom. It grows through devotion. The more devoted, the more you are alive to his presence and his goodness. And it's that which speaks to you more and more. So the Hebrew religion had a few problems. It had a tyrant of a storm god of war into battle and genocide. And it struggled with the wisdom to understand such, and quite simply didn't make it. The people that just not loving God. Chosen people, yes, but not devoted to God. How could they be such a view? just frightening. You can't love a tyrant, an autocrat. And God is not that. God is the one you love. It's what you love. He's the personification of what you love. That's the only thing you can love. That is what you love by definition. And sure, in your devotion, in your life together, you come to see each other differently. Well, perhaps not him, us, but us, him. You adjust. Your view of God is refined, to say the least, by your walk with him, your experience of him, by your love of him. But it's by your love. It's not by your reasoning ability. It's not by your theology, your wisdom. It's certainly not by fear. It's by your love. Why? Because he is a God of love. And in the Jesus story, he tells you quite simply, I'm your dad. Abba, I'm your dad. Your heavenly dad. I love you and you're my child. What does that mean for you? Wow. Everything, Dad. Love you. Thank you, Dad. Well, I thought I'd better check out Ecclesiastes again to give Solomon a fair hearing, but, well, apart from chapter 3, there's not a great deal that's mentioned of God. There's not a great deal even there, really. And much of it is extremely suspect. I'm not impressed. Perhaps you are. I think if you were reading it as one who was not traditionally Christian, you would not be so impressed at all. And if you are steeped in the Jesus story, I'm sure you would not be impressed. Well, as sure as one can be, anyway. See what you think. Bless you. I wonder if you find criticism ungodly. Well, scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites, who told you to flee the wrath to come. Strain a gnat and swallow a camel, whited sepulchres. Need to read the Jesus story more, not to worship it, but to get your bearings rather better. He was very critical of the religion of his day, which felt, of course, it was the best in the world. Reminds you of Christianity, doesn't it? Guilty of the most appalling things, even according to its own historicity. How is it you judge not yourself what is right? We judge not as regards condemnation, and we do judge as regards what is right and what is wrong. And we do say where the saying is a blessing. Else how will they know the way? What to do and what not to do, who to follow and who not to follow, who God is and who he is not. Thank you, Dad.